Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are fixing a 5th gen Toyota 4Runner. In our case, we have a 2014 Limited, but 5th gen, they're all the same with these door lock actuators, which is the thing we're tackling today because my wife's door will not lock on the driver's side. You can diagnose to see if it's an actuator issue or not by unlocking and locking all the doors. So in our instance, when she went to unlock it, lock it, it was just the driver's side door that was not doing anything. And you can go around, put your ear to each door, and you can get a sense if this is locking or not locking. You can hear that motor running. If none of them are working, then you may have a fuse issue or something else going on. But yeah, today we're going to replace it with this piece, which I got on Amazon for $34. This is the actuator. You can see the lock on the side. It's going to match exactly what's in the vehicle here. See that? And so we'll line it up there. But this piece, like I said, $34 on Amazon. If you buy it from the dealer, getting an OEM part, it will cost you around $350. This whole operation, bringing it to a shop, I've heard everywhere from $500 to $1,200. More realistically, you're probably $600 to $800 just to replace this one piece right here. And I guarantee it, if you have just a little know-how or you watch this video, you can get it done faster than it would take you to go to the dealership and back and be waiting in that waiting room forever. It's easy, it works, a lot of people have done it, so it should be no issue. So I'm going to show you how to do that quickly, and hopefully it's no big of a deal. I'll just show you what we have here. So I have, this is just a Phillips, so I got a drill in case I need that. This is a Torx screw. So you're going to need that on these guys right here. So that's a T30, T25 may work. I have a razor blade. There's a film on the inside that helps seal the door. So I'm going to use that just to kind of take that film off. I have a 10mm socket. I have a couple flatheads. Those aren't needed for the insulation, but there is a little piece here that needs to be pried off later to put some rods in for the actuator. So I'll show you that in a little bit. So that's what those are for. And then, you can get these at O'Reilly's or AutoZone. It's just a piece to help get some of the trim off the door to take the door panel apart. To show you kind of high level what we're looking at, we're going to take this little tab out here, one in the door, one down here. We'll take this corner off. All these little trim pieces will pop off. And then we're going to lift this whole door off. There's, little buttons and latches around the bottom and the edges. So we'll pry those off. The whole thing will lift off. There's a couple wires we'll have to disconnect, that help you with some of these buttons and locks and power windows and all that jazz. The light down here. So just a couple disconnections. And then we're going to take this apart with a few bolts. There's one in there, the 10mm bolt. This is all going to come apart, and then we'll slide it in our new actuator. So let's get started. All right, so as I said, we're going to take off a few of these trim pieces. So we're going to use our tool to sneak these out. We'll find out which end here is best. All right, there's one. There's two. So you can see the bolts or screws in there. And we'll get this one down here. These are just trying to find the best part to pull from. So there's actually a little indent on the bottom here where it's easy to pull that one out. It's nice to have little catches here so they don't fall down. And then we'll get this corner piece. That one was easy. So we'll set that aside. Okay, well now we'll grab our Phillips on the drill, take those off. Okay, now that we have the 3 screws off, now we're going to try to peel this off and take the door apart. Okay, now it's kind of lifting up. There she is. So it's hard to see in here, but we have a few wires, different rods that are holding this together. I'll show you when I get out. All right, so now we have the door off, and I'll back the camera up a little so you can see what's going on. So essentially what I had to do was disconnect this controller right here. So this is probably for the power locks and windows, this white connection. And then there was one other one down here for that light that's at the bottom of the door. So I had to disconnect those two. And then you'll see there's this little couple black mechanisms in here. This held this white and green cable. So there's just a little ball at the end. I'll move the camera back up for you. But this is what slides the door handle, or when you open the door handle, it pulls on, your lock in the actuator. So just make sure you keep the white on top and the green on bottom. And we'll show you how to put those back together in a little bit. So we'll set the door down. So now we have this film right here that's kind of keeping this part of the door sealed. We just need to take it down just a little bit so we can feed all of the stuff out and reach in there. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's going to be real gummy, but we'll try to peel it off. I have a razor just to help me a little bit with getting through some of this. Just keep working it slowly. And this should seal right back on later and totally reusable. Okay, so I think that's all as far as we need to go there. We'll get more of the top. Okay, so we'll give that a whirl and see if that's a big enough opening for us to get that actuator inside there. All right, next we're gonna get this 10mm bolt right here. And this is kind of holding the window rail inside there. So we just got to release this and get this out of here to allow us to do our job. And there's also a power plug right here. So we're going to make sure we take that out. And then we'll plug it into the new one when we install it. So easy connection there. And again, this is just like the other two that were inside the door that was hard to see earlier. So piece of cake. Now we'll take these 3 Torx screws off. Don't need a drill for this, it seems. Maybe if you have an older vehicle and they're rusted on, maybe you do, but right now the screwdriver's working just fine. Okay, now we got all 3 bolts off. So now we're just gonna try to feed this through. So right now we'll stick our hand in here. See how easy it does for us here. All right, and then we can pull it out, loop these through here, and that's our piece. So you can see we have these pieces again that work with the door handle. They connect into here, so we're gonna have to take these out and reconnect them to the new one, and then we can put the whole new piece back in. So let's do that right now. All right, so now we have to remove these. So the yellow one, you can see this little slot that it's in right here, so we'll just pop that out and then easily turn this, and that slides right out, and that's that. And then the blue one, we got to get this little cover off right here. So use whatever means necessary. Looks like I sort of popped it off, so maybe it's not going to fight me too much. I don't want to break it, but I guess this is a bad piece anyway, so what does it matter, right? But we'll see if we can take it easier for practice for the new one. Maybe I'm going to try the smaller screwdriver right now. All right. Sounds much worse than it is, but that's how we got it off. You can see how the blue one's threaded in here. So I'm just going to pull this out. And this one's a little bit different on how the wire snakes in there, but we'll just repeat it with the new one now. All right. Pretty sweet workbench I have here. A little cardboard on top of a garbage can, but we'll make do. All right, we got that open. So put this wire in here. Put the blue piece back in the groove. That one's done. We can close that up. Make it really tough. The yellow one, much easier. So we'll slide that in. Put this back in the groove. And that's all she wrote for that one. So now we are good to go. All right, so we have our door actuator here. We got in the cables, which, just to give you another look-see, this one closed inside this door. This one just fit in this little slot here. And we made sure we clipped them in extra hard into the plastic. Now, when we put this in, there's something that is very important that you have to take note. So first off, there's a little rod in the back of the door that this needs to go into. Okay, see this? So it's going to set down, and it runs vertically. So there's a little bar in there that goes vertically, and it's going to set into that little hole right there. Also, second, after you get that in, this little half moon shaped thing here, there's a connection that this needs to make as well to the door. So make sure that this fits in. If it does not and you don't make the connection with this, your door may not lock properly. So that's just something that you're going to have to feel. It's hard to get a camera back there, but trust yourself, get that bar in, make sure this is seated, and then we can start aligning the bolts and making sure that this is connected back to the door. So let's get that part going. All right, so looking in the door, kind of what I was describing, there's that pole. That's going to go in the bottom of the actuator in that little white circle that I showed you. And then right in the middle of the screen, I'll try to get the flashlight on it, that little kind of star-shaped piece that's going horizontally, that's what needs to go into the half moon. All right, but first you get this part in, and then just make sure it's seating on that star shape right there on my light. All right, let's go. So this is more difficult than I thought. So I'm going to restart, but what I even realized is I didn't feed this through this material yet. So obviously make sure you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have to hack it some other way later on. So I'm glad I caught that right away. But here we go, continuing on. See this, there's a window rail in here and you got to sneak it past so you can start lining this up. So see, I got the screws, but now I just got to make sure I feel everything in there to make sure that I got that rod connected first. All right, I got the rod. All right, so we're just putting in a couple screws right now just to seat it for a second and make sure that we're all aligned inside. So I'm going to double check everything with a flashlight here. Okay, now that we have the actuator in, we have that vertical pole in the proper slot, we have our 3 bolts on the side down here. Now we're going to attach that window rail with our 10mm bolt at the bottom. So we'll just make sure we line that up and start screwing that in. Then we'll take our electrical plug right here, make sure we put that back in. That should be a little click. And then we'll start putting the seal back on. Hopefully it re-sticks nice and easy. So we'll mush that on. Okay, and that wasn't bad at all. And I have a good feeling that's going to stay. All right, so remember, white's on top, green's on the bottom. They're just a simple clip inside the door panel that those go. And then we're going to make sure we connect our light at the bottom here with this plug inside the door panel, and then this one as well for the windows and the door locks. But again, they're just simple clicks. You'll see them on the inside of the door panel. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. To give you one last look at the door. All right, here's the little hole where the white cable will go. The green one's on the bottom. And then all of these plastic pieces all the way around. This one, all of them on the bottom. See those white, green? Those are all the clips that got to be pushed back into the vehicle once we do our 2 electrical connections as well. One being here, and one being on the bottom for the light. All right, so I just got the door on. It took a little finagling, but I found it easiest to start in this corner. Instead of trying to hook the whole panel on and push the whole thing down, kind of, hold this with one hand and just try to shove in this top corner and just keep working your way down. And then the whole thing's seated. All right, so we'll just keep pushing everything back together. All right, before I screw anything more, let's see if it locks. Okay, it's locked. Unlock. There it is. Yes. All right, let's finish the job. You'll want to be careful using one of these. Especially when I'm kind of going into plastic, you can definitely strip or destroy something. I'd probably recommend using just a screwdriver, but haven't done this a number of times. I kind of know how to nurse it, but you want to be careful. Don't do anything crazy. All right, we'll put this trim piece back in place. Pop this one in. Get this one by the door handle. And that's it. All right, so it's done. We'll give it a test. I will say, compared to the original part, it's a little bit of a harder click on the door handle from the inside and outside. That doesn't bother me at all. But grabbing the key, I'll hit lock. It's locked, can't open it, hit the unlock, and it works. That's all that matters. I don't care if it feels just a little bit different than that stock part. Again, it was $34. We're talking about $34, probably half hour of work, versus going to the dealer, spending $600, $700, $800 and a couple hours of your time getting there, waiting for it to come out, driving back. This is an easy fix. I'll do that 4 times over, even if that part was cheap and kept failing on me, then go to the dealer and spend almost $1,000 fixing this. So from what I've read, what I know, what I've seen online, these are going to work fine. You should have no problem. And let's be honest, I'm not going to have this vehicle the rest of my life. I'd love to, but this is going to get us, where we need to go and make sure that now we can have everything in here secure when we got to lock it somewhere. So again, super easy job, $34, people, on Amazon. I'll put the links in the description. Hope this helped you with your 5th Gen 4Runner if you're having door issues. Thanks.